Hello everyone, we are going to present the novel Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, so we hope you enjoy it.
Sometimes one is guided by this, what they say of themselves, and very frequently by what other people say of them without giving oneself time to deliberate and judge. Hello, everyone. I'm Eleanor Dashwood, and we are going to analyze a little bit about the things that the book I belong to has. The first one what we are going to analyze is loving marriage. Well, the story begins with Marianne and me as unmarried but eligible young women and concludes when both of us settle into marriage. So, thus loving the central importance to the novel as Marianne and me fall in love and seek to marry the man we love. However, marriage is not at all about in the word of sense and sensibility. Indeed, is it's often more about wealth, uniting families, and gaining social standing. Secondly, we have the characters, sense and sensibility. In our world, people's inner character is essential for, the understanding their motives, actions, and desires. For example, I'm on this side of sense, while Marianne, my sister, can be classified as someone given to sensibility. So, what does this mean? Well, it means that I am a rational thinker who values reason and restraint. But Marian, by contrast, has extreme emotions, as the narrator says. Marian could never love by halves. Third, we have women in society. Well, we as female do not inherit property and cannot have careers. Our futures and fortunes, obviously, depend almost on the men we marry, and we are expected to be dutiful, upstanding ladies of society. But our creator, Jane Austen, depicts her female characters as thoughtful, clever, ambitious, and sometimes showing women. And as the fourth point, we have society strategy. Our society data in late 18th and early 19th centuries. And well, it belongs to the High English society, which was dictated by a rigid social and economic hierarchy. So, our clever strategy is reflected in our witty conversations, artfully written letters, skillful persuasion, and meddling in others' affairs. And finally, we have wealth, class, and greed. Austen's novel well, is portrait of English society, but only of a narrow slice of it, the privileged, wealthy upper class. Uh, all the main characters in the novel are very well off, but having plenty of money doesn't save them from worrying about finances. We are generally concerned with the money to the point of greed. Thank you.
The more I know the world, the more I am convinced that I shall never see a man whom I can really love. I require so much. Well, that's one of my phrases in the novel. My name is Marianne Dashwood, and I'm going to share a little about the setting of the novel Sense and Sensibility. This novel moves between the city and the country. It takes place in rural England in the period of 18 to 1816, that is, in the 19th century. Well, it all starts like this. My family and I had lived for a long time in Sussex, a county in the southeast England. Our property was a good size, and in the center was the residence Norland Park, where the dignified way we had lived for many generations was worth the respect of everyone we knew there. But when Henry Dashwood, my father, died, my sisters and I were orphaned. Later, together with my mother, with our stepbrother, John Dashwood, who was the only son my father had with his first wife. This action followed the conventions of the time, which means that he is the sole heir to everything that belonged to my father. But John and his wife, Fanny, began to treat us with contempt. So the Dashwood women decided to find another home. That's when we moved to the country as an offer from one of our relatives. That's why the second place the novel takes place is at Barton Cottage in Devonshire. The house we Dashwood sisters moved into was a kind of chalet. But to put you more in context, it was a single family home that could also have very different uses. Since in addition to housing, it also served as a stable, shed, workshop, warehouse, etc. And its appearance was not attractive since it was an old house, but it provided the necessary conditions to its inhabitants. In the novel, it is considered a poor place to live. And as an example of this, we have Fanny's reaction when she realized that the Dashwood sisters would live in a chalet. Her expressions were of discrimination for us and the house. The characters in the story traveled a bit and even spent some time in London. My sister Eleanor and I, the older daughters, were invited to this last place. We then visit a friend's house in Somersetshire before heading back to Devonshire for happy endings. These two places have a lot of relevance in the development of the novel. This is all for me, and I hope you have understood a little about the places where my family and I lived.
I have come here with no expectations, only to profess. Now that I am at liberty to do so, that my heart is, and always will be, yours. Hello everyone, I am Edward Ferrars, and now I am going to talk about the point of view of sense and sensibility. In Sense and Sensibility, Jane Austen uses what is called third-person omniscient point of view. This is where the narrator sees all and knows all. Such a point of view gives us privileged access to the interior life of each character, their thoughts, their emotions, and their hopes and aspirations. However, just because the narrator can tell us what's going on inside each character's head, it doesn't mean that she should give them all equal consideration. In that sense, the point of view of this novel is limited. The main focus of the narration is Eleanor, who represents the sense mentioned in the title. This means that we come to know her far better than anyone else in the story. Certainly better than the more emotional Marianne. Besides, Austen is much too good of a writer to tell us everything that's going on inside her characters' minds. There does need to be an appropriate level of ambiguity and severely to keep us interested. We have a privileged view inside the minds of most of the characters, and Austen's strong narratorial voice takes us in and out of the people that populate this novel. However, the narration tends to focus our perspective through Elinor's thoughts more often, and we find our primary or own opinions most clearly influenced by hers. Notably, Austen is primarily concerned with showing us the female perspective here, though we occasionally get to see inside Edward, me, or John. We mostly stick close to the women in the novel and get to know them better than anyone else. And that's all for me. Thank you for paying attention.
Hello everyone! As you know, we are diving into one of Jane Austen's most famous novels, which is Sense and Sensibility. Characters and character connection is something paramount in Jane Austen's novels, because sometimes you may get confused with this character and with this one and the connection they have among them. So now I'm going to go deeper on those characters, and I'm going to be giving you some details for you to get in touch with them. So let's get on business. At first, we are introduced to Mr. Henry Dashwood, that we don't know too much about him because he dies at the beginning of the book, but we know that he inherited some money in Norland Park from his uncle. Then he married to a woman who died some years before. We also don't know about her, but they had a son. His name is John Dashwood. And then Henry Dashwood married to another woman, Miss Dashwood, and they had 3 daughters: Eleanor, Marianne, and Margaret. Talking about John Dashwood, who is the half-brother of the Dashwood girls, we know that he is a weak-minded person and that he inherited all the money in Norland Park from his father after he dies, of course, and he is married with Fanny Dashwood, and at his wife's suggestion, John Dashwood leaves his half-sisters and their mom with very little money. Fanny Dashwood, who is the John Dashwood's wife, is a selfish, snobbish, and manipulative woman. Her mother, Mrs. Ferrars, is as manipulative as her. She is a wealthy woman who wants her sons to get married to wealthy women as well. Robert Ferrars is Edward and Fanny's younger brother. He inherited the fortune of his mother, and at the end he married to a girl, but I won't say anything else because it's part of the resolution of the book, and I don't want to go into a spoiled territory. Edward Ferrars, he is very different from his family. He is sensible and shy, and when he is invited to stay at Norland Park, he develops a close relationship with Eleanor Dashwood. Eleanor Dashwood, she is 19 years old and she is the eldest of the Dashwood girls. She has a great deal of common sense, and she thinks that we should control our emotions. She prefers to keep her troubles a secret, as she's always making sure that her mother and her friends are not in troubles. In the title of the book, she represents the sense. She is the protagonist and heroine of the book. Marianne Dashwood, 17 years old. She is the second Dashwood girl, and she is emotional and romantic. She likes to read romantic poets, and she likes to play the piano. She cannot hold things inside, so she prefers to express exactly what she feels. And in contrast of Eleanor, as in the title of the book, she represents sensibility. Margaret Dashwood, she is not mentioned a lot in the book, but she is the youngest of the Dashwood girls. She is 13 years old and she is very happy. Sir John Milton is a friendly and vulgar distant relative of the Dashwoods. He is the one who offers a cottage at Barton, and he's always invited them to have dinner or to go to Paris. And he lives with his wife, Lady Milton, and his 4 children. At Barton Cottage, the Dashwoods meet someone really important, and is Mrs. Jennings, and also they meet Colonel Brandon. They are both characters are important in this book. Mrs. Jennings is the gossipy but well-intentioned mother of Lady Milton. She develops a close relationship with the Dashwoods, and she likes to be talking about love and marrying couples and all those kind of things. Colonel Brandon, this is one of my favorite characters in this book. I don't know, because he has many positive qualities. He is a retired officer and friend of Sir John Milton, and he falls in love with Marianne, and even though he knows that Marianne was in love with someone else, he was respectful and he didn't give up to have his love. He was kind and honorable. Willoughby, he meets Marianne when she falls and twists her ankle in a rainy walk, and then he abandons her in favor of wealthy Sophia Gray. And finally, let me introduce myself. I am Lucy Stills, and I am one of Jane Austen's finest villains. I am a distant relative of Sir John Milton and Mrs. Jennings, and I am clever, socially scheming, and self-interested. I am really happy to meet Eleanor Dashwood, because I know that she has spent some time with Edward Ferrars, and it turns out that I wanted to tell her a secret, and it is that I have been engaged with Edward for 4 years, but once he lost his fortune, I am no longer interested in him. Now that you know all the characters, you are ready to know the plot and the resolution of this amazing story. So keep watching this video and hope you like it.
Hello, well, my name is John Dashwood, and in this opportunity I'm going to talk about my family's story. Well, everything starts when Mrs. Dashwood, my stepmother, and her 3 daughters Eleanor, Margaret, and Margaret, my half-sisters, are forced to leave their home at Norland Park by the death of Henry Dashwood, the girl's father, by his second marriage. Now the inheritance of Norland belongs to me because my father leaves it. But I promised to my father to care for my stepmother and half-sisters. But my wife, Fanny, talks to me, and she tells me to help my stepmother and half-sisters with the least financial support possible. However, John Middleton, a cousin of Mr. Dashwood, comes to the family's rescue, and he provides them a cottage on his estate at Barton Park. And the move separates Eleanor from her beloved Edward. But she doesn't complain about that because she knows that they have made the best decision. There in Barton Park, the Dashwood sisters meet John Middleton's friend, including Colonel Brandon, who instantly falls in love with Marianne. But she doesn't love him because she loves Willoughby. And they behave as if they were engaged. And suddenly Willoughby leaves and breaks off contact, perplexing Eleanor and grieving Marianne. Moreover, a number of guests arrive to Barton Park, Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, who have news from London, but not about Willoughby. One day, Eleanor meets with Lucy in Anne Steele, and Lucy confides to Eleanor that she and Edward have been secretly engaged. And then she asks Eleanor to talk to me to employ Edward as a clergyman. And then Eleanor and Marianne go to London with Mr. Jennings, and there Marianne hopes to know about the mystery of Willoughby's disappearance, and she writes him many letters, but he doesn't reply her. And there, in a party, Eleanor and Marianne see Willoughby with another young woman, whose name is Sophia Gray. And in that occasion, Eleanor realizes that Marianne and Willoughby have never been engaged. Then the family wastes some time in order that Marianne recovers from that situation, and then the family returns to their home at Barton Park.
Hello, my name is Fanny, so I'm going to continue with the story. Well, after that, a servant from Norland Park arrives to Barton Park, and he has news to the family that Lucy and my brother Edward have been married. After that, Eleanor reads the letter, and Marianne admits to Eleanor that she and Willoughby were never engaged. However, Marianne behaves as they were because she knows that she and Willoughby love each other, but there is no future relationship for Willoughby and Marianne. After that, Marianne recovers from her loss of Willoughby and her subsequent illness, and she accepts the proposal of Colonel Brandon. After that, Colonel Brandon leaves, and Willoughby arrives seeking for forgiveness from Marianne, and Eleanor denies him. So Willoughby makes an explanation of his actions to Marianne, but Eleanor takes a level of pity on Willoughby. After that, Eleanor tells Marianne of Willoughby's visit, and Marianne realizes that she and Willoughby could have never been happy. After that, my brother Edward seeks reconciliation with our mother, so he tells her that he intends to get married with Eleanor. But our mother finally consents rather than lose her son again, so she makes him the same gift that she made me when I got married. After that, Eleanor and my brother Edward take quarters in the mansion house at Villafort. After that, Lucy jilts my brother Edward in favor of his now wealthy younger brother Robert. Then, my brother Edward and Eleanor get married. Later, Marianne and Colonel Brandon get married too. So, the two couples live in harmony, and they live as neighbors. So, they live a happy ending. So this is all for us, and thanks for your attention.